even more damning Epstein emails have dropped in the last 24 hours. I've spent the last 3 or 4 hours combing through them and found a bunch of other interesting asides that even much of the media has been ignoring. What is it like inside the world of the global elite? Well, we got some insight into it. I'm Paul, U.S. Army combat veteran. Hit subscribe and let's talk about it. Now, I want to point out a couple of things. First off, as a reminder, one, President Trump has reacted to the release of these files by saying that the Democrats are trying to bring up the Jeffrey Epstein hoax again because they'll do anything to deflect it how badly they've done on the shutdown and so many other subjects. Only a very bad or very stupid Republican would fall into that trap. Worth noting that at least 4 Republicans, including Nancy Mace, Marjorie Taylor Greene, and others, have actually voted to release these files. Thomas Massie. And so he's literally, again, you would have to be, it'd be pretty bad for a Republican to do this, right? That's what's called the threat, standard organized crime stuff. We're following that trap. Democrats cost our country $1.5 trillion with the recent antics of viciously closing our country, while at the same time putting many at risk. They should pay a fair price. There should be no deflections to Epstein or to anything else. Any Republicans involved should be focused only on opening up our country and fixing the massive damage caused by the Democrats. Now, worth noting that, again, much of the damage of the shutdown was caused by Trump and the Republicans. For example, not paying SNAP. They claimed that the Democratic Party was somehow stopping them from paying SNAP. But in fact, a court ordered them to pay SNAP. SNAP, by the way, food benefits to America's poorest. There's actually special funds that's set aside every year exactly to make sure that poor people don't starve to death because of a shutdown. It's a special fund, and the president refused to pay it. Just like the president also tried to fire a bunch of government employees who, again, legally had their jobs protected in the event of a shutdown. So, again, the whole thing's kind of absurd. And while, again, they did absolutely fail at the shutdown, extracting no meaningful concessions from anyone, it still is, I think, a sign that this is just pure, this is pure cope. I mean, they must think you're an idiot. Don't get distracted by the Epstein files. Let's get distracted by the Epstein files for a second. Now, bear in mind, Trump's FBI director and Department of Justice concluded that Epstein had no clients, died by suicide, and never trafficked any girls to anyone ever. These emails seem to indicate differently, right? One, I found a bunch of things that are interesting. This is sort of a joke with that. By the way, Trump campaign advisor, former Trump campaign advisor Steve Bannon and Jeffrey Epstein have extensive contacts. They email a ton of these files. That's fascinating. They're also, Bannon low-key hates Trump. You can see in this email, they actually joke about what a piece of shit Trump is because they literally, again, here's Jeffrey Epstein and Steve Bannon. Jeffrey jokes, not only, and he means, am I a billionaire pedophile friend of Trump, but I also helped Hitler. And this is a joke referencing the fact that Steve Bannon recently had bumped into a little article that actually says that for a brief time, according to some book, Hitler stayed in a dorm or philanthropic house supported by, quote, the Epstein family. Probably a different Epstein, but I think it's very interesting that clearly Epstein is equally angry in this email that he is called a billionaire pedophile, but also adds friend of Trump right next to it. And right between billionaire pedophile and helped Hitler, he's like friend of Trump. So one of the things that's fascinating in these emails, and I didn't even save all of them, but so many of the people that he talks with, the highest tier of society, think Trump is an absolute fucking buffoon. Now, don't get me wrong. These people also loved Jeffrey Epstein. So, like, I'm not going to sit there and be like their moral compass is, like, rigid. But it's one thing to be like, oh, this guy's a goody two-shoes. He's just trying to do the right thing no matter what. But that's not what they say. They say Trump is dumb. Trump is like a dumb human being. Literally, one Goldman Sachs lawyer, she said, Trump is proof that it's better to be lucky than smart, which is pretty funny. Now, I thought it was funny. You also have, again, him making fun of Trump a bunch. There's also, here's a funny one. This is from Thomas Landon, by the way, who's a reporter with the Wall Street Journal who routinely contacted Epstein, who said, I'm trying to get you with the MASA crowd looks like some kind of reference to like an organization. He said there's some resistance due to all the headlines and controversy. That's a reference to Epstein's trafficking of women and girls, as you might expect. But I tell them about your relationship with Saudis / Gates / Trump crowd. But still, there are doubts. Huh. Saudis / Gates / Trump crowd. What crowd is that? That's fascinating. The idea that there's a singular crowd that is the Saudis and Gates and Trump, which is also worth noting. That's deeply also Epstein's crowd, right? Gates and Trump also deeply, deeply associated with Epstein. In fact, Gates' wife left him because of his extensive contacts with Jeffrey Epstein. It's up to you, the viewer, to decide what I could mean by saying those contacts, because all of this is alleged, by the way, guys. There's no, other than Jeffrey Epstein saying that Trump was alone with those girls, other than Trump saying, or than Epstein saying, I could destroy Trump, at no point in these emails does Epstein actually explicitly describe criminal conduct by Trump. Again, just because Trump was in the house of a known sex trafficker alone with a known sex trafficking victim for hours is not the same thing as he did something, right? Maybe they had tea together. Maybe they just hung out, right? I found it funny that Deepak Chopra, a sort of weird guru philosophy guy, emailed him and he says, whoa, it's crazy to see these Trump claims on wiretapping. Is he loco? ? And Epstein just replies, yes. So Epstein literally saying, hey, man, yeah, Trump is literally crazy. There's a bunch of other things I found really fascinating. And that is that, right, in addition to Trump's like pure cope, for the first time, the president's social media has actually been completely silent. He shared 2 messages about the Epstein document, calling it a hoax, which again is unbelievably weird because it's so clearly not a hoax. And of course, the DOJ, right? But there's also some other emails in here that I think are really interesting. One, there's several between Catherine Rumeller, a lawyer who served as a White House counsel under Barack Obama, right? Weird. It's weird how Americans are divided like squarely in partisan lines. But Jeffrey Epstein is besties with a White House lawyer under Barack Obama and Steve Bannon at the same time, and Donald Trump, right? What's fascinating is Rumler says, I thought you'd find this interesting. She wrote to Epstein. This is discussing the hush money payment to Stormy Daniels, right? The prostitute Trump allegedly slept with and paid off and was charged with hiding or paying her off to stop the story. Rumler emails Epstein and says, I'd find it interesting that it makes no legal difference whether it was Trump's money or not. The issue is that he failed to disclose it. Epstein replied, you see, I know how dirty Donald is, right? He also continues to say things like, I'm the only one who could stop him. It's really like very, they're just strange for a variety of reasons. He says, I know how dirty Donald is, and I'm the one to take him down. Again, the official stance of the White House is that these prove literally nothing, but they don't. They prove that Jeffrey Epstein had a strong relationship with Trump, identified Trump as being dirty, as being a sociopath. Truly some like insane takes in here. And again, the part where like this is also interesting. Here's another email with Thomas Landon in 2015. Right. Thomas Landon writes to Jeffrey Epstein, now everyone coming to me thinking I have juicy info on you and Trump because of this. The story quote, I've known Jeffrey for 15 years. Terrific guy. Trump booms on a speakerphone. He's a lot of fun to be with. He even said he likes beautiful women as much as I do. Many of them are on the younger side, no doubt about it. Jeffrey enjoys his social life. Landon says, this story will never die. Then Jeffrey Epstein replies, December 2015, would you like a photo of Donald and girls in bikinis in my kitchen? Landon says, yes. And of course, guys, it's a hoax. Epstein probably didn't have those images. He probably just made that up. Girls, bikinis in his kitchen, totally fake. Totally fake, right? Very interesting. Lots of stuff. And we're going to learn more as these files go to release. Anyway, guys, that's all I had. Again, we're going to keep you posted as we learn more about this story. A huge thank you to our Colonel tier members. If you want to support me, interestingly enough, every time I cover the Epstein issue, I immediately get demonetized by YouTube. So if you want to help keep me financially able to cover these stories, you can become a member either at combatvetnews.com or just hit the Become a Member tab below. Specialist tier and above are going to get access to all the uncensored combat videos on Combat Vet News. Thanks to all you guys who are members. I'll see you in the next one. Cheers.